Well, joining us via Skype all the way from Oklahoma is Kid Catholic Kedon Gummerson. Kedon, thanks so much for being with us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. We want to just make clear you're an Oklahoma State fan, not an Oklahoma. Yes. Okay?
Absolutely.
Want to get that down.
Yes.
So as I was introducing you, Kedon, we said as Kid Catholic, clearly that's not your name, but it is the channel name of your YouTube channel. Tell us what made you start that, because YouTube is such a huge thing now.
Right. Well, I'm now 16. I started it when I was 11. So it was like a while ago, like a solid 5.5 years. Wow. And I started it after just returning from the Catholic Family Conference in Wichita. I knew that YouTube could be used for good, because the internet, I think, gets such a bad rep sometimes, because it can be used for terrible things, but it can also be used for so much good. So I knew that I wanted to. I knew that I wanted to create, and I had in my head that I was somehow the most intelligent theologian as an 11-year-old in the world. So I decided it would be a good idea to start a YouTube channel. And my first couple videos, my first lot of videos, I'm not really fond of looking back on, but it started off slowly, and I ended up learning so much more from it than I could ever imagine. So I started it really because I knew that I wanted to do something special, but ending up becoming as big as it is now wasn't necessarily always the plan. But it was absolutely God's plan and what he wanted me to do. So I kept it up. I kept posting a new video every week, and it led to speaking engagements, and it's just expanded ever since then.
And there's many topics you cover on the channel, but one of the recent ones, a session you presented to students your own age called Making Time for God. Talk about what that was like to present to your own peers.
Right. Well, I started, my first talk was at my home parish when I was 12. And wow. I was terrified, and I memorized every word. But in going and giving different talks at different places, like in CYC and a lot of the places that I've been, I've just sort of grown to learn to not need an outline, to just be able to talk to my peers one-on-one, or not one-on-one, but in that sort of one-on-one kind of mode, I guess you could say, because it's more relatability. It's more being able to reach the kids in a way that I fully understand them on a deeper level, because I am one of them. And so that's a really great thing. And I feel like a lot of the teens and a lot of the even younger kids that I talk to really enjoy being able to hear from someone who they can relate to on a deeper level, just because we are so close in age.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about that for a second, Kedon, because I told you that I have a son who's very close to your age. You're a junior, he's a sophomore. Is it hard when you're not within that group of Catholics, when you're trying to explain how your faith is part of the fabric of your life? Because it's hard to have a conversation without people arguing these days.
Right. And I was homeschooled through 8th grade, so I never really experienced much of having to do that. Mm-hmm. But when I went into high school, I go to a Catholic high school, but even at my Catholic high school, there's still very much a lot of non-Catholics, a lot of people who disagree with a lot of the stuff I've said. So to me, I feel like it isn't necessarily hard, I would say, to stand up for the faith and continue being passionate about my faith, just because it's something that I've always been so used to. But that's not the case for everybody. And just being able to push through any hate that you might get, or arguing, or people coming up to you, I feel like that's a very difficult thing and a lot easier said than done. And I think that the reason why so many of us teens have a hard time with it is because we try to do it on our own. We think that God doesn't want to help us with that, when in reality, if we come to God for help, he's so much more willing to help push through that, and to make us passionate about our faith, because that's what allows us to defend it, is passion. And as soon as we get passionate about our faith as teenagers, then the more likely we are to be willing to defend it and be willing to talk about it.
And in addition to your speaking, your YouTube segments, you also, I understand, do a radio segment titled Faith in 5 with Kid Catholic. Talk about that a little bit too, and maybe some of the ways you get topics for that.
Right. So the Faith in 5 is on Oklahoma Catholic Radio. I started that, I feel like a couple years ago now, maybe a year ago. I don't know. It's been a while, where I release a 5-minute radio segment each day, except for Sunday throughout the week. So what I typically do is I typically do a topic for that week and then dive into it deeper and deeper. So recently I've done things like distractions, things like making time for God, but then also expanding it to things like the sacraments, right? Like it could be a number of things. I've done so many. I couldn't even think of some of the topics that I've done for Faith in 5. But I love recording it, getting it out there on Oklahoma Catholic Radio. I know there's several kids who go to my school who, even though they may not want to, their parents make them listen to it when they get in the car, and they definitely hear it. So I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Usually people always ask what's tough about something. I'm going to ask the opposite. What's great about being a teen Catholic?
What's great? Oh, that's a good question, because usually you're right. It is the opposite. What's great about being a Catholic teen is I feel like we have such an advantage as young people who are this close to God, because we have the ability to start growing a relationship like with Him now, and then being passionate in our faith now, so that by the time we're an adult and we got to worry about like taxes and stuff, like we're already close to Him and we have that built relationship with Him. But I also think that it's good because we quite literally are the future of the church, like the Catholic Church, and what happens to the Catholic Church is in our hands. So I think we have a huge advantage in that way too. I think that being a Catholic teen comes with so many perks, just dedication to Christ, and so many benefits that people overlook way too often.
Well, Kedon, it really has been a pleasure and inspiring talking to you today, especially having a boy about your age. Where can people learn more about your work?
Yes, so you can go to YouTube and search Kid Catholic. And all of my videos are up there. That's on my YouTube. But you can also go to kidcatholic.com, and that has links to my YouTube. It has some more details about the Faith in 5. It has some more details about my speaking engagements. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do on kidcatholic.com. So that's going to YouTube, searching Kid Catholic, or going to kidcatholic.com, or both, because why not?
Hey, go Oklahoma State.
Yes, absolutely.
Kedon, thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Kedon.
You too. Thank you.